Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics, and I am here with Sam Ronan. We've been trying to get a hold of each other for a while, but you're very busy, and I've been a little busy. But it's down to crunch time now. You've made a lot of noise, I'd say, in the DNC chair race. The very limited content I've even been able to watch, because I've been on a lot of stuff. You're my kind of guy, I'm not going to lie.
That's awesome.
I think you speak truth to power. I think you're really not into the bullshit and the platitudes, which, if I'm keeping it real, is probably why you're not going to win tomorrow.
Oh yeah, no,
Just
yeah,
being honest. But
right.
I think that you might have a bright future after that. Just tell me about, to you, what it's been like sitting on those panels, because I saw one video where it's like all these platitudes are being tossed out, honestly, even by Congressman Ellison. And you have Jammu Green talking about intersectionality and all this nonsense. It's almost like there's just this total ignorance and deflection of what the real source of the problem is.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, every single one of those panels that I was actually able to go to, starting in Houston, I mean, that's all it was platitudes and agreeing with each other. And first of all, that's not a good way to differentiate yourself from front runners. And second of all, that's not what that should have been about. We don't need another manager or another administrator of the DNC. We need a leader, and we need a leader to bring us back. And so that's the whole reason why I even got into this. It started with the government shutdown in 2013. That's why I left the military. That's why I pursued office. And then when I did, I was left out to dry. And so after the election, of course, I was wondering, well, what else can I do? I finally got the DNC thing on my radar, and I went to the one in Columbus. And I went there and I listened, and it was just like you said. It was just platitudes. The question was asked, what will you do to bring people back into the party? And nobody answered the question. What I was waiting for was somebody to take that mic, get off that stage, take the 3 steps to an audience member would have required, hand them the mic and ask them, what have we done wrong? What can we do better? What can I do for you? And what do you need from us? That would have been leadership. That would have solved all the problems, and nobody was doing it.
The little I've watched, because I haven't had a lot of time, it seems to be a lot of in the weeds kind of stuff. We should focus less on hiring consultants, and we should, apply the budget more to this. A lot of stuff that, on the margins, maybe it will help to improve, but I've seen very little in terms of, do we need to stop having fundraisers with Wall Street bankers? Should we
Oh, yeah.
not have fundraisers with big oil executives? Should we not, on one hand, say we're taking it to, so and so? We're going to tell them to cut it out, as Hillary Clinton said, and
Yeah.
then behind closed doors, take their
Do
money
exactly
and
that.
do their bidding. I've seen very little of that. I don't know if it's just a total unwillingness to admit that's why we lost, or if it's just these people are ignorant. Do you find that, do the leaders that are running for this, you can't get in their head, but even the DNC members that go to this, is there an acknowledgement that that's the problem, or they're completely clueless?
So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. They are either clueless or they are just burying their head in the sand. I think that's the best phrase to put it. And you're right. I am the only one that's talking about it. And it's actually a little frustrating because during the past couple of debates, I have been able to drive the narrative to at least get to the grassroots level, to like the actual county level, to make sure the people who are running are getting the funds and the support, right? But they still won't admit that the money is the issue, that we need to get rid of it, that there's already examples where grassroots funding and organizing is working and that it is working better than or equal to what's already happening with the big money. I mean, one of the biggest comparisons I saw was between Bernie and Hillary. 76% of Bernie's fundraiser came from small dollar donations, and the exact opposite was with Hillary Clinton. So the numbers don't lie. We can unequivocally fundraise and support our own Democratic Party, and yet nobody wants to admit it. Why? Because the ones who are in power, the ones who are being bought and sold and traded to the highest bidder, don't want to give up their gravy train. And I alluded to this in CNN too. The reason why I got involved in this nonsense is because our leaders are spineless cowards. They are allowing themselves to get sold out. And to me, it's galling. It is absolutely galling. But until we either break through or take it over from the outside, it's not going to change. And I've been trying to do it from the inside, but we'll see how that happens.
So I want to get your thoughts, because I've written about this, but it's not really talked about. To me, this whole resistance against Trump.
Right.
I think it's great that there's protests in terms of the refugee ban, the
Oh, yeah.
immigration, all this stuff. You don't have to be a Bernie supporter or a Hillary supporter. Everybody should come together for that, no doubt about it. But it seems to me that, if they're doing what they did during the campaign, like the DNC leadership, the Democrats, every other email I get from the DNC is on Russia and Trump is the boogeyman. Almost like if we make Trump so unpalatable, if we make him so bad, they'll just have to turn to us in 4 years. Just like Clinton's campaign did during the campaign. If we just make him so unpalatable, yeah, they hate her, but they'll vote for her. It seems like this whole resistance thing is just assuming that Trump will be so unpalatable that will easily will pick up seats in 2018, and then win the White House back with probably a shill like Cory Booker. Do you think that? Because to me, it's going to backfire. To me,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You can't just focus on Donald Trump without putting forward policies that strike and connect with the people you just lost, like blue-collar people, millennials. What do you think about that?
No, I mean, you may as well be on the same forum because apparently we're speaking the same lingo here, and that's exactly why I brought it up. The best way that I was able to phrase it was referring to the FDR administration and the New Deal. It's not enough to have an enemy because that's just fear-mongering. That's what the Republicans do, and they do it much, much better than we ever will. And as you just said, it doesn't push voters towards us. It pushes them even further away because if we don't offer anything better, then they're not going to do it. So what I tried to do was invoke that emphasis on where we once were as this great Democratic Party, the birth of the middle class, et cetera, with the New Deal. And so I talked about a new New Deal, something that we can fight for, work together, and build towards. And I know it sounds very metaphorical, but in a sense, it is, but it's also the answer. If people don't have something that they can get behind, that they can't invest in themselves, that they can't trust, and actually have a hand in addressing, fixing, and implementing, they're not going to participate. And that's across party lines. People are disgusted in general. People have left both parties in droves. The independent movement is the largest voting bloc in the country right now. It surpasses both Democrats and the Republican Party combined. So clearly there's this disconnect, and it's going to have to take something that we can all relate to. Water, our environment, clean energy initiatives, making healthcare more affordable, education more affordable, making our taxes, what was the word I want to look for? Our tax burden less. Have a greater voice in economics, as in we get to collaborate and be collective with our bargaining at a genuine fundamental level and not only have to rely on unions, that we fundamentally change it so that businesses adhere to us. We are the reason why they profit. Without CEOs, CFOs, and all this BS, we'd still be fine. But without the workers, without the 99%, without you, me, and everybody else who might be watching, there's nothing. And that's the message I've been trying to deliver. And you're absolutely right. They are simply not getting it. And if they continue to focus on making Trump the enemy but not offering any solution to fix it, the party's going to fall, plain and simple.